in verse 36 is a fixed heart contented. A content heart. You see, a fixed heart is a heart of content. And so that's what the psalmist said. The psalmist said, after asking for active virtue, it was proper to plead for heart contentment. David, and this comes through textual observation. Let me take the time with this. Textual observation. That is simply paying close attention to the text. David is suspect in that he felt a wandering desire in other words, he felt an inordinate learning or leaning of his soul to worldly gain. And it may have intruded into his most devout meditations. Let me say that again. David is in suspect that because of his fleshly cravings, because of his fleshly desires, he finds himself wandering away from that which he knows is right. And it has interfered with or intruded upon his most devout meditations. Now, how many of us can actually testify that when we constantly, consistently, presumptuously, that means on purpose, do things that we know is not right? We don't pray like we used to. We cannot get into the mode of communication with God to meditate because we have guilt hanging over us. And Satan, who is the accuser, he's constantly gnawing at us, troubling us, disturbing us. The audacity of you to do what you know was wrong. And now you want to pray. Now you want to go to church. Now you want to stand before God's people and preach his word. You want to stand in the choir and sing Zion songs, or stand in your virtuosity at the door as an usher and set all dignified as deacons and deaconess. The audacity of you. Knowing what you have done has brought disgrace upon the good name of God. You say you are a Christian. Let me tell you something. Satan knows how to preach too. All right? And Satan knows how to really stab us. He really knows how to jug, as we would say. He knows how to pierce us. But we have to remember, in our faults, in our faltering, we are not what we ought to be. God knows. God understands that. But the Apostle Paul reassures us that there is nothing that can separate us from the love of God. Do not allow your weaknesses, your shame, your backsliding, your wrongdoing to stop you or push you further away from your fellowship and your relationship with God. When you sin, confess it, get back on the trail, get back on the track, continue in your prayer, because that's where your strength is. Satan wants to keep guilt over us and weaken us. We stop coming to church. You know, we would never tell nobody why we stop. But we'll make up some silly excuses why we can't come anymore. or why we can't do this anymore.
Yes, sir.
Because we have egg on our face. We are ashamed. We have disgraced ourselves, and our conscience condemns us. But my brothers and sisters, I want you to know how great of a God we have.
Yeah.
I want you to know that Jesus Christ, once he comes into your life, he's there to stay. The Holy Spirit is the earnest of God. It's the seal of God. So when we falter, when we fail, when we slip, and when we slide, and when we do that which we know is wrong, don't stay in the don'ts. Don't have a pity party. Stop condemning yourself. Confess. Get up. Shake yourself. God's grace is sufficient. God's grace is able to take us to another level. We could never really know the power of God's grace and God's forgiveness until we have fallen. Until we have failed or faltered. Our salvation is more powerful than any fault that we could ever commit. But I'm not saying that as a crutch. I'm not saying that to take God for granted. I'm simply saying we still falter. We wander. We take our eyes off of God. But don't let Satan condemn you to the point of turning your back on your relationship with God and cut your fellowship. Because what Jesus Christ has done on the cross of Calvary is so serious and so powerful that the Holy Spirit inspired the Apostle Paul to write what he wrote. What can separate us from the love of God? There is nothing. Absolutely. Once you've been born into the family of God, you are never aborted. There are no miscarriages in God's family. Once you've been born there, you are there for eternity. It's a struggle. Yes, this life is a struggle. And that's what I'm trying to get us to see. And that's what David is trying to get us to see. In his praying and pleading, we have to stay in God's face as much as possible. Because only God can help us. Only God can help. I don't have that part of it, but I need to do this. I want to complete this stanza. Let us look at verse 37. Verse 37, the psalmist says, turn away my eyes from looking at stuff of no value, empty, useless, of no value, that which mounts up to nothing. I told you this was a prayer of symmetry. It's a balanced prayer. The psalmist is pleading for every part of his life, every part of his body to be conformed, to be constrained, to be disciplined in the ways of the Lord. He says, turn away. Unless God take an active part in doing anything for us, we could never succeed in it. Sin first entered man's mind by the eye, and it is still the favorite gate for Satan's allurements. Sin, missing the mark, unrighteousness is vanity. Unjust gains is vanity. Self-conceit is vanity. Thinking more of yourself than you ought to. And all that is not of God is vanity. And may I say, as the priest blesses us because it keeps us out of the path that God has charted for us. So what we see in verse 37, we see resist distractions on the path. We're on the path. And we need to resist any form of distraction. Yes, sir. And that's what the psalmist said. Lord, control my eyes. You see, the eyes by nature never tire of seeing. Even when you close your eyes, the flesh, the body is resistant to open that and get as tired as you may be. And your eyelids are so heavy. The sandman is constantly pulling bags of sand. And you see, for people who resist, I want to show you something. The people who resist closing their eyes for rest, to give your eyes some rest, you see the bags on the guys? Those bags are indictments. It is saying that you will stand up later than you ought to. It is saying that you are resisting resting your